In the dark, creatures crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, an abyss protects you. In the light, goddess of the sun brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Get to the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so power. A morning star is seen in our sight. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing the mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise, reach for the sky. Hold on to weapons with pride. We rise up higher. Conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We're the kings, we're the queens. We're the gods, gotta stop this animation. Turn on the walls, making our mark. 'Cause we're the kings, we're the queens. Let's win this war.
What is going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today we're joined yet again by Brian Coo to cast the 93T versus VL matchup, and I'm hyped for it. What do you think we should expect going into this matchup? We're in the quarterfinals, which, like, man, it just happened so fast.
Chiscool, glad to be here with you. The season is moving very fast. We're here in the quarterfinals in the realm of Horus. We're going to watch two of the elite kingdoms in the game in this matchup today. 1093 against 188. This entire side of the quarterfinal bracket is held by these two kingdoms. There are two teams from 188, and there are two teams from 1093. They're facing each other today, and should be a great match.
Yeah, I think so. Now, remind me, this is main team from 93, right? And the
Yes,
second team from 1188.
correct.
Okay. So just based on that information, you would think probably 93T is going to win, right? No other information given to you. If you were betting, you'd probably bet that. And like more often than not, you're probably right. But you got to keep in mind that the level both these kingdoms play at, this could be a really crazy match and it could be really close, right?
Absolutely. And actually, we got some very good information from Lilith's research team on this match, where they said that the VL team from 188 consists mostly of recent 1034 migrants. So those will be migrants from 1V. 1V, of course, the former Osiris League champion as well.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure 1V has beaten 93T in the past. Not last season, but in the past, I'm sure 1V has beaten them. So, we'll have to see. We will have to see if this is a second team or this is literally like a alternate first team type of situation with VL. But You make a salient point here that 93T is playing 188's second team this week, and they could potentially play 188's number one team next week. And so there is a question, does 93 throw everything at this opponent this week, or do they hold a little bit back?
Yeah, save a little trick for the next go around. So VL actually got some 1v infused energy into their squad. Is actually kind of nuts because you see 93T, they are the former champions. So that it's gonna be tough. But I think this is gonna be good watching. Or, as I've been saying in a lot of my streams, this is gonna be some good eating. All right. This is gonna be really good. This has a lot of potential. I think you're right that both teams probably want to leave a little bit of trickery in the tank if they have any. I just don't know. Well, I was going to say, I just don't know that these teams have a lot of trickery in them to get their wins. But then we are talking about 93, the folks who use Master Strategists to move the arc places. So actually, no, there's trickery here. Yes?
It's possible. Looking at their skills last week, they're both very standard. They're very mid-fight focused skills from both teams. Neither team used Master Strategy last week. And so, it may not be trickery, but for me, I think Chisco at this point, let's talk about the Eleanor in the room.
The Eleanor in the room. But I prefer Mischief, man. The Mischief is so good. Okay, let's talk about Eleanor. What you got for me?
Well, I mean, do you ever... I think, this is what you show this week. You show what your opinion of Eleanor is in this match. There's no reason to hold that back, right? Because
agreed.
Your key players did or did not get Eleanor in Mightiest Governor yesterday. You either allocated Eleanor to your Osiris League garrison captains or not. And so we're going to see how many Eleanors are out in the field in this match, because both of these teams used Jan Hera heavily in garrisons last week. And the question is, do people feel like Eleanor is an upgrade to Jan Hera that's worth, putting 690 gold heads into immediately for Osiris League?
I would say yes, personally. Based on my testing that I did on stream last night, I think it's a yes. What do you think?
Yeah, Chisel is really interesting. You did a poll at the start of your stream. It was pretty much 50-50 whether Eleanor would be good or not. I voted yes. I just thought for sure she would be good, right? Jan Hera is still used quite a bit, used very heavily in Arc. It's used in KVK as well. It's a second fiddle in KVK to Gorgo garrisons, but it's still used. Yep. And so it just stood to reason that Eleanor would be an upgrade to Jan Hera. The question is whether... is Eleanor is Eleanor Hera a better anti-swarm than Jan Hera? And the reality is Jan didn't really have much anti-swarm in the first place. And so I think Eleanor will just be an upgrade to Jan, and it just makes sense to use her quite a bit.
Well, we actually can jump into the match and continue our speculation on this. So I'm going to do that now. Get us a little background music as well as we chill here. With the match on full screen, baby. Or, there we go. A little bit of a hiccup in the scene transition, but we got there. So, 2 minutes until this matchup begins. Whole bunch of little trophies on those banners there. Personally, I wouldn't know what those look like. But, what do you think? What do you think the final score is going to be in this match?
Well, 93T won by about 16,000 points against 1718 last week. Another Korean team, actually. And so this is a step up here. I think 188's second team is a step up. So, I don't know. I think maybe 93T wins by, let's say 10K.
10K?
Yeah.
That's not exactly close. So you're like... That's like Team 93T. You think they've got it, and it'll be pretty solid. A double arc.
If we assume that 93T is the same team they've been in the past, I would have to imagine that they are solidly ahead of VL here. The question, of course, always with 93 is, are they the same team? hard to get a lot of information about this very powerful kingdom. And so you do always wonder if there have been any changes. And that's what's exciting about matches like this, right? This is the first time we're casting 93T this season. We get to see where they're at. We get to see what the status of the Scuffed Tigers are.
Well, I'm hyped for it. I do see some familiar names and faces here. A real collection of players from many different kingdoms having made their way to 93 over time. That got them the W the last time around. And this is single elimination for those of you tuning in for the first time, so you either emerge the victor or go home. Hat in hand. We'll see.
Yeah, for a team like 93T that, last season with the Grand Prix and all the additional Osiris League events, they got to play Osiris League for so much longer than they did in the past, but it looks like gates are opening now.
Yeah, and there we see that energetic start from both teams, which we didn't see in the last match we casted, and we were sort of really expecting to see it. By the way, there is a Belly Prime as one of the marches making their way out there the fastest, although it does look like for the most part the double C triple line is kind of where it's at, and I think it's going to take people time to maybe adjust to using that Belly Prime as the primary. Also, I mean, I don't know. They may have limited equipment, etc. There's reasons why you'd stick to using the double C and want that available while also having a Belly Prime to put somewhere else, right?
Yeah. But staggered formation is 15% march speed, is that correct?
15% march speed while going to a rally or garrison.
While going to a rally or garrison, okay. But what about an unoccupied building? I wonder about that.
That is the right question to ask. I don't know. I think going to an unoccupied building, it might give you the speed, but it could only give you the speed if you were technically reinforcing it rather than attacking it. I think that's probably the case, but I don't actually know.
Yep, and on the bottom side here, we do see that 93T placed a defensive sentry ward. VL placed an offensive sentry ward. And that risk is not going to pay off because this 93T sentry ward is going to spot out the 188 sentry. Their marchers are going to get there first and take out that sentry ward and get rid of the... Actually, they're competing sentries on both sides. Both sides put a defensive ward on one side, offensive ward on the other side, and both of those wards are going to get snuffed out by the defensive team.
Yeah, it's really valuable to have the vision, especially at the start of the match. So these teams are really opting to get the information as fast as they can, but that comes at the cost of, hey, you put a sentry on the opposing side of the map, you could lose it. And here, this sentry is almost certainly going to pop.
And there's so many head games going on here, right? Because you can watch everyone's past matches, see where they put the sentries in the past, and then, it's like rock, paper, scissors, make adjustments or not. Are you going to change what you do in the next match or not? And they, I don't know exactly what adjustments they made here, but it was definitely rock versus scissors on one end and scissors versus paper on the other.
Well, see this Joan rally cruising downfield, but they're almost certainly going to cancel that. No way they run a Joan Nevsky rally actually to this obelisk. Right?
Yeah, two rallies passing each other. They can almost high five as they walk past.
Yeah. Guys? Wait a minute. Where are we going? That rally from VL doesn't really have a great opportunity to cancel anymore, does it?
And neither does the Joan rally from Legend FF, right? There's no other 93T marches headed that way. So like at this point, why would you cancel? Like, you know what I mean? At this point, canceling is worse than just letting it go. And we might just see an Eleanor right away here. I guess I would bet on it actually.
Yeah, no, I would bet on that as well if they've moved in on the meta. Yep. We win.
Yeah, there we go.
What's our prize?
We get to, see Eleanor get swarmed.
Okay.
This is actually very exciting, right? Like, let's see how this thing does.
Well, they canceled. They decided that was not worth. I mean, I was hoping the prize might be the respect and adoration of the chat, but I'll
we
take
already have that, my man.
a swarm
We've got that
spectate, I
already.
suppose. So this is so far like nothing crazy, no tricks. Okay, it was a big push over here actually from 93T. 93T might, in fact, I would even say they will likely take this Sky Altar in a second.
Well, VL picked him up. VL picked him up aggressively here, right? They picked him up on the 93T side of the map. Looks like 93T does have a slight numbers advantage. It's pretty close. It's pretty close here. Looks to me like the...
Dude, everything's under contest.
Yeah, it looks like certainly VL has the Desert Altar covered on the bottom side.
Here comes that invading force on the Sky Altar I mentioned. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think you're right. The Sky Altar for 93T is the most promising of a early take here.
They probably get that.
And they do have a Hera. They do have a Hera in that group, so...
Oh, yeah.
Although a Hera just jumped in for VL. A Hera in this, so they're gonna have to swarm the Hera YSS here.
Wow, that timing might actually do it for them. That may actually be the difference maker. VL fast hands, gets into the Sky Altar, says, okay, fine. Now you have to swarm it instead of getting the easy hold. And these guys maybe can reinforce as well. So this is possibly the difference maker for 93 being able to get this first capture, because not only did it delay them, but it also made it so they had to weaken themselves in the worst way possible for 93 to get the first hold on this. Interesting. Okay, so will VL contest in the next 3 minutes? I have to think the answer is yes. Like, where did all those people go that just got sad-faced over here? Shouldn't they be going to the Sky Altar? Am I crazy?
They've got just under 3 minutes to come back. Not too many players have pulled their marches out of the city yet, but I think certainly VL will come back, and they should be able to take this Sky Altar back and get the first capture bonus.
I mean, they should.
In a few minutes. They should. It's like...
I don't know, man. I don't see it. They don't have time.
They got 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so... looks like a few marches are heading there now. And so... And even the 93T marches are actually just running away. Well, they're deciding that these 93T marches are at half health, and they're like, are we supposed to defend here, or...
No, yeah, they're like, hey, yo, we did not expect to get this big W. What do we do with ourselves? They want a sad face to go middle, because I think at this point they're almost guaranteed to be late. And given, oh yeah, look at all this. So they have to defend. They have to defend here. A minute 40, the rally did take off, but it's undersized at a mil, right? So they may...
It looks like it's enough. It's going to be enough for VL to get this Sky Altar back, I would predict.
Wait, nope, that's not even going here. That's the wrong route.
Oh, wow.
It's going... No. Should they have just canceled this rally and sent it to the Sky Altar? Like,
absolutely.
What's going on here? I mean, to continue this rally on its path, you would have to assume you're going to get the Sky Altar anyways, to be like, yeah, no, we're fine. But are they fine? I don't think they are. 1 minute left? They haven't even started
the
swarm
marches
on
that
the
were
sky.
flanking on the top, right? These two cavalry marches that flanked on the outside, they're just bypassing the Sky Altar as well and going straight to the Shrine of Life.
To me, this feels like an unusual play and not the right one. I mean, okay, so under the assumption that these guys know better than we do, taking the shrine would signal that they think that holding the shrine is worth more than the first capture points. So,
you know, it does give it gives buffs. It gives 5% march speed and I think health. So maybe they're just trying to get a few more stats for this first mid fight. But an interesting choice by 188 for sure.
Yeah, that is like the only reason you would continue on that path, and where you kind of assume that the players in the game know better than we do as observers, which is almost certainly the case. They are signaling that shrine, which represents a 5% swing. It's not just, hey, we get 5. We take 5 from them and get 5 for us, right? So that's big.
It's 1,500 points. I mean, a first capture of an altar is a 1,500 point swing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
You know,
prioritized it. I wouldn't have prioritized it that way. Like going for the shrine. No way.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. And I think they would have gotten the sky altar. Like I think they had enough.
Yeah, look how low it is. I mean, like.
Yeah, look how low it is. Exactly, it's super low. But they did rip into the Eleanor in the Shrine of Life. Nevsky Justinian with the roughly almost 3-to-1 trade on the Eleanor Heraclius. Not a full garrison though.
So for this play to pay off, they need to win this arc. If they don't win this arc, and they lost those first capture points, arguably at the sort of, they lost those points to get those buffs that they did get. Like that's a huge L.
It is. It's nice to have this 5% march speed as you have, a massive number of marches streaming from the start zone to mid. 2.5 minutes before arc. 93T got there faster.
Yeah, see, this is what I would call on time to the middle, is where 93T is. Like, if you're not there at the 3-minute mark, you're late, in my opinion. I know that's maybe debatable, but like 93 has a lot of control right now over this mid fight that I would say that these folks in red do not have. But it's evening up every second that goes by here.
It's evening up, and it doesn't look like 93T is going to do anything with this numbers advantage. It's
no, they
not
did
like
it.
They're
They
going
did
in
it.
early.
They're moving up. Yeah, they're
They're circling
position.
the temple. They're circling the temple. But then, 93T does not have vision here. So 93T cannot see what 188 has coming. They can see the ball that's at the near the temple, but they can't see what's coming. And they're just not sure about going in. It just, as we look at it now, we're like, yeah, you could probably attack now.
They do have vision now. They got a sentry down. And they took out the red sentry.
Yep.
Like, they could, but they're not going to.
It looks like there's a lot more marches from 188 coming, though. There's a lot more marches from 188 coming from the start zone than from 93T. So
there's the engage. Bog down. To the death. When do we see that on the first arc?
Interesting. Wow.
Heaven's Grace for 93. So we have a bog down Heaven's Grace versus to the death dust up. What do you think's the better combo?
The only problem with the dust up here is that the numbers advantage was probably in 93T's favor on this initial engage, and so that really neutralizes the value of the to the death. More rain's coming in now from 188, but I kind of like, I don't love dust up. I didn't love to the death there, just because you didn't have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, I mean, you only get one of those per game, and you can see they're sad facing out. So it was a really bold call. But like I said, you're either there at the 3-minute mark or you're late compared to a team that is there at the 3-minute mark. And all these folks arriving for VL, like, it's too late. So now, do you think they contest on the backswing?
I would just I would use your superior numbers on the sides to take some of these side buildings and see what you can do there. They already made an aggressive play to try to get this first arc, and I don't add one YOLO to another this early into the match. I think you have fresh marches coming back out. 93T's gonna sad face their marches. I mean, although this 93T ball is like fresh. I mean, it's just a fresh 93T ball swinging to some of these buildings. I think you just have to stabilize your buildings here. If you're VL.
Fresh 93. I mean, I guess the mid fight was light work for 93T, huh?
It really looks like light work when you look at these health bars. My goodness.
I think a part of that is the numbers advantage plus healing equals like huge advantage. Does that make sense? Like, the to the death needed to rapidly eliminate the 93T marches, but by virtue of 93T just keeping everything they had healthy and having more numbers, it just really snowballed in their favor. So this therefore allows us to conclude that, at least in my opinion, taking that shrine at the start was probably not worth the first capture points on their own structure.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, if you just take your Sky Altar at the start of the match and make the start even, then you're just down in arc. You're really just down in arc. But as it is, you're down, 1,500 points more basically. So it's a tough start for VL here, and they're just going to try to right the ship with this Eleanor garrison that's getting heavily pressured.
And flips blue. I mean, this is a really tough spot for VL. There is a reason that 93T is the former champion, or last season's champion. And, they're showing it.
Yep. So we saw the swarm on that Eleanor, actually an even trade. Severely wounded were even on that trade there. With two rains from VL and about 12 to 14 marches swarming for 93T. So actually, I would say first test we've seen, Eleanor actually doing better than expected.
You think better than the Jan Ziska would have done in that same situation?
Yeah, I think for sure, definitely better. I mean, it has to be. It has to be better. It has to be better. So it's a big, Eleanor's a big change. Eleanor's a very, very significant change. Just upgrading that Cav garrison, that meta Cav garrison, is a big change in this game, especially in Ark of Osiris.
Energetic being used again. Both teams on that energetic plan. It feels to me like it's just solidly meta. You're either using it or you're suboptimal. But I would like for a team to prove otherwise, right?
93T used 8 points in the mid there. Heaven's Grace plus Bog Down. 8 points. I'm used to having 6 points in the mid. In the old days, you had 6 points for that first arc.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's energetic in effect right there. Because you do get a boost when you use a skill. So I almost wonder if maybe they had enough to cast Bog Down, and then they got using Bog Down gave them enough points to use Heaven's Grace at that point.
This is looking pretty bleak for VL. I mean, this map is blue as can be.
Yeah, they didn't get a big push. You're supposed to get a big push when the enemy wins the mid because you have fresh marches. But like we said, it was just the 93T marches were still fresh. They were still fresh, and I think it's really the to the death really hurt them in mid because essentially they would have gotten more value doing something like Bog Down plus Dust Up. Maybe they didn't have 8 points and they couldn't use Heaven's Grace, but I almost think Bog Down and Dust Up would have done more value than the to the death because those two skills last longer. And if it's a bad to the death, it really hurts you a lot. And we see that now because 93T just took their buildings with their mid marches.
That's an interesting point. So you get about 3 minutes of value from the Dust Up, right? Isn't it 180 seconds?
Yep. Yeah, it's 3 points or 3 minutes for that, and I believe for Bog Down as well.
The Bog Down, however, is only hitting a specific area. So that perk will only, last so long. But even after they leave the mid fight, the Dust Up is still giving you some value.
Absolutely, and VL did so little damage to those marches mid with the skills they chose to use that those marches mid did, they used a lot of other things. They were able to accomplish other things on the map afterwards.
Yeah, agree. That is pretty rough.
But VL has taken back their Sky Altar or their Desert Altar on the bottom side. They have all their buildings now, and so the map is stable. We'll see if 93T holds the arc here. Looks like they're holding it for now. It'll be interesting to see if they hold it because they were so dominant mid. Do they do the full map? Do they do the max hold, or do they just hold for a little bit and set up their timing correctly? Interesting to see what 93 chooses to do here.
Yeah, I think they hold it for a while. I think they are in the position of, ooh, we don't need many arcs in this game. They already blew to the death, so what's the worst they can do to us in another arc brawl, right? So all we have to do is just hold this, win the next one, win the game.
I cast 93L earlier in the season, and they had to the death in a very key mid fight, and they just chose not to use it. They used, I think, Bog Down and Dust Up instead, or Dust Up and Total Vision instead. So, they literally didn't use to the death in a match. The last 1093 team I watched. So, they may not even use that in the future. We may see both teams use very similar skills in future arcs. They might even be wishing that VL could cast to the death again, right?
There's another Eleanor, by the way.
In the Shrine of Life. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking it. So this is an interesting one, right? Like, not much swarm. It's a little bit of swarm, a little bit of debuffing, and then a full Nevsky Justinian rally.
Light swarm is where Eleanor really shines, my opinion. It's just enough swarm to trigger extra skill activations on her, but not so much swarm that she's overwhelmed, because she really isn't designed, I think, to handle that. Not like other anti-swarm commanders, but pair with Hera, and like the shielding can keep you around for a while. And look at that. That is exactly what we see here.
Yeah, she's doing great here. I love her animation. A really cool skill animation on Eleanor, the sort of, I don't know the falling rose. I love the blue animations because I can actually make them out. So many of the animations are gold, and I can't tell the difference sometimes, but great animation on Eleanor.
Yeah, I think it might... Here. Is that flower an iris? What flower is that, chat? Help us out. Look it up. Well, we do see a Jan Ziska in this particular garrison. Shrine of Life is holding on.
Yeah, have we seen an Eleanor from VL yet? We did. We saw it in the desert. We saw it in the desert altar. So yeah, listen, these decisions are really interesting. There were a lot of big decisions made yesterday regarding Eleanor from these big kingdoms.
Yeah.
Neither of which are in KVK. Neither of these kingdoms are in KVK right now. So they could allocate a lot of their Eleanors to the players who are going to garrison in Ark of Osiris. But at the same time, do you risk not having some key KVK leader having Eleanor when you do go to war? It was tough, and both of these teams, because they have two teams in the quarterfinals, they had a lot of people clamoring for Eleanor.
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be a lot of overlap these days with who's going to be your garrison in Ark and who's going to be your garrison in KVK due to the armaments and tiered iconic equipment. So I think more and more that overlap is ultimately there. But you're right that, the meta kingdoms are allocating these sculptures. And getting them to the right players is going to make a big difference for your kingdom, easily.
Yeah, they were so they're both in the off season, and that actually helped them quite a bit because they could arrange the entire Mightiest Governor and get 15 players, Eleanor heads, enough Eleanor heads to do the commander. There's going to be other kingdoms still in Osiris League who did not have that luxury, right? They were in KVK. The kill event is what it is. You can't control it, and people are going to you might have only been able to allocate. You might have only gotten 2 or 3 people, Eleanor, who you want to have it. So these two teams were kind of in a nice, relaxing position with this, and we are seeing Eleanors get allocated all over the field. And I bet in the other match where these two kingdoms are playing, we're seeing Eleanor as well.
And I'm just looking around here. We peek at the scoreboard, and obviously 93T has the advantage, but they also have the points per minute advantage, which is going to be difficult to overcome.
They're putting in work on the bottom side on that desert altar. They've taken the desert altar again on the bottom side. Another Eleanor. Another heavy swarm on the Eleanor. This trade much worse for the Eleanor. Almost a 2-to-1 trade for the offense on that one. Popo's Henry Asher rally, ripping through that Eleanor in that case. So yeah, 93T on the offensive on the bottom side for sure. And on the top side, is a bit more stable. 188 matching them a bit better, but the bottom side very, very blue at this point.
Yeah. Wow. Look
You
at
know, you put me
that.
on the spot, Shizgul, 10K points. That was my prediction. Sometimes honesty is good, you know, you gotta give the honest answer. You might turn out
You
to,
may
might
be
turn out to
right.
be right.
You may be right. Yeah. I do think this might be an iris, actually, as the flower that Eleanor's got here.
I think it looks like it. I googled Eleanor of Aquitaine Iris, and there's a lot of results, so I think you're probably right. Yep. Very, very pretty flower. I love it.
It is actually a cool animation. It's so different than most skill animations.
It immediately reminded me of YSS's boat, which is one of the most iconic animations. One of my absolute favorites. And
Yeah, the boat and the anchor on YSS. I don't know. Those animations are. It's got to be. Well, for me, that's like best animations in the game that they've ever done, probably. Just, you know, I mean, not that you should field with YSS, but the anchor coming down from the sky is just hilarious.
It's just great in a garrison because, you know, especially when YSS was. I mean, look, YSS is still used. There's a YSS sitting in some of these garrisons now, but he was such a dominant garrison that it was just, you know, you're just like, we're wrecking people. You could see yourself wrecking people when that boat would come out with all that AOE and all those good trades. Yeah, it's an absolute classic. But you know, the blue of the Eleanor is the closest that we've seen to the boat in a while.
Rhine of Life, rally incoming. The Kingsland chat is talking about for GV77 and 2268 are definitely already over.
Yeah, I think that 2377 and 2429 will have been able to allocate Eleanor however they need to. GV77 got a very big win last week against 60MX while they were in Kingsland. And, you know, I think that Kingsland, or Osiris League, played a role in that Kingsland. I think that 2429 might have had a bunch of players playing in Osiris League at a key moment in the KL, and maybe they weren't able to port back once the match was over. You know, a lot of things happening in Rise of Kingdoms right now. Like, stuff is popping off, a lot of changes. A really exciting time, actually.
Well, so something to keep in mind also is that when you're in Osiris League, your shell locks. So players cannot join or leave the alliance, which ends up being kind of a big deal.
So if those players stayed on the front lines, right? Or even if they teleported out, right? Even if they teleported out, players would not have been able to join that alliance. Well, they could have just teleported in and shielded. But it just screws things up, right? Not being able to leave or join that alliance for that 1 hour while KL is popping off with fighting, it is very awkward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So VL taking back their desert altar here on the bottom side. Arc has been held for what feels like the maximum amount of time at this point.
On my screen it's 0. Okay. Wow. Okay, so 93T's playing this like real precision game where they wait till the last second to return the arc, I guess. I guess so. Either my timer is wrong or they waited.
It was at my timer was down to 0 also, but our timer could have been wrong.
Yeah, has to be, because what would happen is it would reset the arc to the middle. So that is really close. Wow. I mean, certainly if they forgot to cap that arc, that could be a difference maker. But as it stands, your 10K prediction is looking pretty accurate.
It is, although, you know, VL is competing here. They have all their buildings back right now. They're not really attacking anywhere. They're sort of just, they're probably just going to play defense until this next arc. And we'll have to see if 93T goes on the attack here, because it's a pretty good timing if 93T can attack. They are hitting that Sky Altar on the top lane. This is a really nice timing for 93T, right? This is, you know, they returned the arc as they were starting to attack this Sky Altar. and they might take the building, and even if they don't, they're going to sad face at the exact right time and be ready for mid. And this is just, really solid play from 93T here.
No doubt about it. Worm is in. Legend F rally. He's been using that Henry ever since he came into the game and been getting value, let me tell you.
Yeah, Henry just a really nice rally commander, does a lot of damage, but also has counterattack, and so that's the combo, right? Does good damage, but also is sturdy enough to deal with some swarming. The rally did get swarmed down there, and they switched the garrison to Gorgo for this swarm. So, a decent defense here by VL, actually.
Yeah,
right?
this
They're
defense
bringing
is
some fresh
great.
marches here and getting range in that garrison. So pretty solid defense.
Yeah, this is a really great defense. Although they're about to lose it. They gotta swap marches. Oh, they did it. Wow. Holding on. I think they're gonna save it. That is a defense right there. That is a defense right there.
Yep. The question now is, what do you do with these marches? And they're like, oh, do we sad face them? They're going to go for this Shrine of Life, which is already a rally on the Shrine of Life. So, interesting stuff from VL here, where they're like bypassing their own building to attack the Shrine of Life. And it might work out okay here if they just attack it now with all these marches, but they are going to probably be late for mid again in this case, whereas 93T, they failed on their attack, but they're fine. They just go to mid instead.
Man, big swarm on that Shrine of Life. Era, how do you feel about leadership garrisons these days?
To me, I've just never seen them trade well. Even a year ago, we played a kingdom that we played 818 that used a lot of Hero YSS, and even then the trades were not that good. I think nowadays it is, just going to trade even worse against better rallies. But somebody in my chat the other day was saying that Osno has a Hero YSS that slaps. So maybe if you max the Awakenings on it, maybe it's still good.
Yeah, it's tricky, given that there's no open field leadership option at the moment. Unlike cavalry, infantry, or archers, where you get a double reward for sort of maxing that gear. Your double reward for your leadership gear is for city defense, it's really good, and you can use it in a garrison, right? Whereas, if you're in for archer cav, the sort of double reward is, hey, not only do you have the meta garrison and rally, but also you can field with it, right?
Yeah.
I think not as many people prioritize that leadership gear, which makes it kind of tricky to know. Like, is it actually meta or not? There's not a lot of people that can properly test that.
No, I think it's flexibility. I think it gives your kingdom flexibility. And really, I like those additions to Rise of Kingdoms. I think Siege falls in the same category, where it's not game-changing, it's not increasing the power gap in any way, but it's giving you more flexibility, it's giving you more options. And so the nice thing about Hero YSS is that in KVK, near the end, when all your cities and your farms especially have just a little bit of every troop type left, you can throw the leadership garrison in and fill it up anyway. In Arc, it's nice because it's like an emergency garrison. When things are really hectic, you throw the Hero YSS in, people can fill with any troop type, and it does very well in that case too. So I like it in the game. I just don't think it's that great.
Well, we're 2 minutes till the Arc fight, and VL is really late to it. And I think that's because they've been pressured in all these other places, right? So now
there was just a good timing of the attacks by 93T.
Yeah, and it's not a coincidence. I mean, they controlled when the Arc got capped, so here we are.
Or did they, Chisgul? Or did they? Did they just wait till the last second and get lucky? We'll never know.
Imagine forgetting that you're holding the Arc and you gotta score it.
You're like, oh,
Yikes.
Return the arc in the next second. Oh, by the way, we're perfectly positioned to attack multiple lanes and then get to mid on time.
I mean, if you know that's what you want to do as your game plan, you make your plan around it, right?
Yeah, and you know, that's a timing that many teams can emulate. There are other timings that we've seen 93T do that are amazing, whether it's knowing when to ambush the arc carrier, knowing when to use master strategy. Those are complicated timings, but you know, hold the arc, get yourself set up in multiple lanes to attack, return the arc. That's something that many teams can emulate because it's not that complicated.
We
Other
do
than getting
see
yourself... Go ahead.
93 moving up here. Can VL get this second arc? What skills would you use if you were the lead for VL? What would you pick? Assume they got 10 points.
Oh, if it's 10 points, then I'm using Dust Up, Bog Down, and Heaven's Grace. I think Heaven's Grace is a little bit better than Total Vision. We're not really seeing teams use Total Vision anymore, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and VL with the interesting movement here, trying to avoid this fight almost.
I don't know what they're up to.
They might be just waiting. They might be waiting for more numbers. They might not have liked the numbers there. I'm still trying to figure out what all these advanced movements. As we get deeper in Osiris League, we see more and more teams using these advanced movements mid. These really sharp movements where everybody goes somewhere else. I'm still trying to figure out what value they gain. One value here is the fight's going to be on VL's side of the map, right? So any additional reinforcements for them are going to get to the fight sooner than for 93T. So in that sense, they have outmaneuvered 93T here a little bit. But they have to get to the temple. Like, you know, the arc is
this is tough.
About to spawn. Yeah, it's like about to spawn.
There's Total Vision. 93 popping the same combo.
They get Heaven's Grace again. Very interesting. Because there's a big cooldown on that skill, but they got it again.
And it worked so well the last time. Just run it back. And they got the arc carrier on the move.
Yep, very same arc carrier as last time. Although he might get taken down this time.
It is possible. You can zoom out to the dot mode here, because I think this is showing us more of what's happening. Carrier's down. And that is a one-way sad face train if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, you know, 93T had just wonderful positioning there. They didn't get baited into a fight early or anything like that. They just stood at the temple. They blocked VL from getting anywhere near the temple. The only marches that got to this carrier were ones who ran through and were getting wrecked on the way. And really overall a cleaner second mid-arc fight from 93T, because not only did they have numbers to win the fight, but the outmaneuvering was great.
So the only way to get back into this now is with an arc ambush for sure. That's
Absolutely.
it. The only way.
And let's see if they go for it. Let's see if they go for it.
Yeah. I think they have to try, but I just don't know how productive it's going to be. Because unlike in the prior match we cast where the arc had no escort, here it looks like it'll be escorted. I don't know. All the escorts walking away. Maybe I'm too soon on my assessment.
Yeah, this is... they forgot the arc.
They seem to have forgotten the arc.
Yeah.
I mean, we know they haven't actually. Someone is picking it up. Now
But
they've got it.
Delay. A nice delay. Really a nice delay by VL here. Allowing themselves to get set up for this ambush. But what's interesting to me, Chisel, what I like here is that all of the mid marches from 93T went to this desert altar. None of
half of them
went.
did.
Yeah, half. Okay,
half went forward. Right. They're over here at the other desert altar.
Yep, you're right. You're right. But at least none of them went to back to the safe side or anything like that. So they'll be able to slightly interrupt this attempted ambush here.
Yes.
Although VL has taken the desert altar. Looks like there wasn't much defense in here at all. Actually, there was. There was a nearly full Heroliasis garrison, and it just got swarmed down.
Well, it's gonna be spicy. The arc carrier is moving, but gonna get ambushed here. I don't think there's enough punch left in these ambushers, though. DL going for energetic. That's interesting. Maybe Dust Up is on cooldown.
Yeah, you'd love that bog down right here, right? Slow
Yeah.
down the arc carrier,
What they just used, though, you know? Like, they
debuff. Yep.
don't have anything else they could use. They used their bog down. They used their total vision.
They have
they
Valiant
used their Dust
Stand.
Up.
They could Valiant Stand a random building.
Yep.
See if that makes the difference.
That's all they can do.
Yeah, 93T has already taken back their Desert Altar here. So this ambush has been stymied pretty thoroughly here by 93T. By the same marches that won the mid fight. So again, they're getting like double value for these mid marches.
I think the power low of the marches on the field here for 93 must just be also a cut above.
Yeah, they're pretty far ahead in total kills for sure. Pretty big ratio there. More healing. 93T has healed more than VL in this match, which is interesting. It just shows how 93T is a very lean alliance. They don't have a ton of power. They don't have a ton of troops. So they do have to heal in Ark of Osiris, but that doesn't mean they're not stronger than their opponent. It just means they have less power.
Yeah. The dynamics of Imperium really change a lot in this game, actually. It's just taken years to play out, but one of the consequences is that if you're in a big kingdom, you're keeping your power as low as possible. That means you got to do things like heal and arc. The cost of dominance, as it were.
Yep. And Chisel, speaking of Imperium kingdoms, what is your guess? Do you think 188 is an Imperium kingdom or not?
I believe last I looked, they are not.
That's correct. They are not.
Yeah.
Which I think is surprising because they almost have like a 1.5 alliances now. Maybe they're all together when they're not in Arc, but like with all those with 1v migrants into the kingdom as well, they might just still be a one alliance kingdom, but a little surprising to me that they're not Imperium. I mean, 2 teams in the final 8 of Osiris League, but they are non-Imperium. And so in their own way, they're very lean as well.
Here comes the rally. Desert Altar. 15 minutes left in the match. Carrier has not capped yet. Carrier's going the wrong way. Oh no, it is. We still have the ambush action going on, actually.
Yeah, the rally distracting 93T's marches here. They're all in the rally, and all the field just ran right past the building.
It's really a Hail Mary, the idea that you might get this arc right now if you're VL. But that's all you have left is Hail Mary. So why not run the play?
Yep, this is your whole season right here. If you lose, you are out of the Osiris League. You just have to go for it. I mean, I like it, man. I like that they're making a. This is not the worst Hail Mary ever, right?
No.
They're getting presents to this arc. But it's just so close to the 93T cities.
Chat says 1188 has 97 players over 100 million power, 130 active players over 75 million power, and then everyone else is a 30 million power farm. Jeez.
Wow. 100, yeah, that's 130 active players over 75 million. Yes, that's not even a full alliance, right? Like,
Nope.
Two teams in the final 8 of Osiris League, and they don't even have a full alliance of active mains in their kingdom. Like you said, that's the state of Imperiums in Rise of Kingdoms right now. And worth noting, and you might know more of the details of this, Chisel, but 1093 and 960, they both queued for Lost Kingdom recently, and I think they both got match not found. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they've built kingdoms that really, like, there's no way to match them at
Can't they
all.
fight each other? Can't they fight each other, though?
This is the only option, really. Like, it's so, those kingdoms are so imbalanced, and I know I've fought them, that, like, you can't make them with anyone, really. Like, it's so impossible. It's definitely a weird situation for them. And I've been in the situation where you are that kingdom that's so big and powerful that you can't get matched. I've been there. Back in the day. Many KVKs in a row of that. So it's one of the costs of making the strongest kingdoms in the game. There's nobody to fight. And they really are that much stronger, by the way. In case it wasn't clear, like they actually are that much stronger. It's not like it'd be easy to just roll up and make a kingdom that could contest it. You really just can't even.
Yeah, but I still feel quite bad for a kingdom like 1093 though, because they have retained so many players because they're so successful, right? They have multiple, they had multiple alliances when everybody else also had multiple alliances, and nobody left 1093 because they were successful and people enjoyed the experience there. And so you undoubtedly have some players in 1093 who have been there for a long time. They didn't migrate there for the gold chests. They've just been part of the team that has built this kingdom for many, many years. And now they find themselves in a very tough situation where it's like, are we supposed to shrink? And do we have to get rid of some of these longtime loyal players who did nothing other than help us become the best kingdom in the game?
Price of dominance. You got to answer tough questions.
Yeah.
And you either answer them or lose to the kingdoms that do, so take your pick.
Yep. And but around that we're playing, around that system that has some question marks and some challenges, we're playing a game that just keeps getting better and better. The dot mode is better and better. The balance between commanders is better and better. We're seeing different garrisons used in this Ark of Osiris match. We're seeing different rallies used in this Ark of Osiris match. The open field is standardized, but open field fighting is as fun as it's ever been with things like dot mode, with things like the rage bar that you can see in dot mode, the health bars you can see in dot mode. And so we're playing a game that's very good, and I think we just have to get the systems around it right, and we'll still be in very good shape.
As we look at the scoreboard in this match, by the way, how's that 10,000 estimate looking? Not bad. The Ark is being held, though, so looks like it may be more than 10K in favor of 93 in this one. The 93 in this matchup very much saying, like, yeah, we did this last year. We're here to do it again. Thank you very much.
They look very sharp. They look very sharp. I think the most important thing is that they were just really dominant mid, right? Because that's pure strength, right? A lot of mid is just, it's not coordination. It's about just pure strength of your account. And this was a pretty good test because, well, here's what's interesting, Chisel. 188 has won all their KBKs. So their old school players on their main team have 5 Hunter inscriptions. But these 1v players, these new migrants from 1v, because 1v has not won a lot of KBKs recently, they probably don't have the max allotment of Hunter inscriptions, which really, really helps in the mid-fight. So while this is a good test, there is another level, I think, of open field that we see from teams. Like I cast 16OT last week. They had won all their KBKs too, and they just melted people mid. Absolutely melted people mid with their wedge formation skill damage. So 93T is at that level, and that's very important for them going forward.
No doubt about it. Kat is pointing out that the main alliance in 93 and 1188 will meet soon in the semis. I need to look at the rest of the bracket to see how that went. Because wasn't 93's other team also playing today?
Yes. They're playing right now. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
They're playing right now.
So in the other matchup, it is 93's second team versus the 1188 main team?
Yes. And 1188 was heavily favored in that match.
Are they winning it?
I'm not sure. Well, let's see. Let's take a look.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
I hope 188 wins, right?
Yes, chat is saying it's 18K to 31K. So like a very similar sort of a score to what we have here.
Shout out to Kildy there in the chat. Good to see you in another arena here. Yeah, so that's yeah, very similar score. And that spells well for an absolute banger next week. Main team versus main team.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be really good to see.
Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sound.
You know, yeah. VL has done okay on the sides. Like they've held they've held their buildings. We've seen some good defenses from them, right? But it's just they're defending 5 minutes before the mid fight, and then they're just put in an awkward position every single time, and then they really have gotten wrecked mid.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, when we look at the kills on the board, it really tells a powerful story about the differential here between these teams.
I think it's a little misleading just because they've never gotten a good mid fight. Like To the Death was a real miss on the first one, and then in the second one they had to just like charge through 93T to get to the temple, right? So they haven't had a good even fight at mid. So that does skew the numbers a little bit, but you're right. It's a massive advantage on the kill points to severely woundeds, much higher than I would have ever expected.
Yep. Valiant Stand goes down.
Yeah, good use of Valiant Stand here. A skill that a fair number of teams are using in Osiris League. It costs 1 point. It gives you a significant defense boost to your building for about 90 seconds. And it's very easy to cast. Like, it's an easy... We saw that To the Death was not cast correctly, right? It's hard to cast To the Death correctly sometimes. Valiant Stand, easy. You're getting pressured, use 1 point, defend your building. So that's why I like that skill a lot.
Sounds fair. I think a lot of the reason that like teams don't end up using 1 point abilities is purely because of the quality of all the 4 point and 2 point abilities. So you end up in this weird situation where having an uneven number of points like doesn't make sense. You see what I mean?
Yeah, they're all even numbers, right? All the
right.
good points are
You've got to
even
get
numbers.
to 10 for that mid fight. And so the best combination of 10 for a mid fight typically ends up being the 2 and 4 point abilities. The strategy, I think, from VL here was just to use Bog Down, Total Vision, and Dust Up for that. And they use that in all their fights, other than a 6 point change up for To the Death. And that's why they have the 1 skill slot left that they can use the Valiant Stand. What's in the last skill slot of 93, though? Do we know?
You know, last week they had To the Death on their bar. So I would guess that it's To the Death.
Yeah,
but,
it's probably
But
To the
again,
Death.
once again, we're seeing them not use it. You know, this is the second time I've cast 93, and both times they have not used To the Death. They've had 8 points, and they've opted for something like Bog Down plus Heaven's Grace instead. So that's really notable. It's very, very notable.
I mean, maybe it's Master Strategist just sitting there, you know?
Could be.
That was their signature play last season.
Were they using it to, did they just use it to cap the arc, or did they use it in sort of a cheeky way as well?
Yeah, I mean, they used it to move arcs around primarily.
I mean, it's a great way to use it for sure. You can definitely win a match at the last minute if you just, you know, especially if you can win mid fights as cleanly as they've won them here. They didn't need to use all those skills. Just for laughs, they could have on that second arc. You know, they were so dominant on that second arc. They could have held their skills, not used Heaven's Grace, and then just warped it home. Warped the arc home and then held it for 10 minutes.
I think it's smart, though, of course, to not reveal your hand. That it's a thing you'd even have considered, you know? Like, keep your enemies guessing. Chad is saying that the Wib versus JST match is really close. 3K matchup.
Oh, Wib winning. That's very interesting.
Wib is up. This is actually a pretty big deal. JST has got a dynastic reputation. And
Wib also, you know, Laguna retired from Wib, so Wib has new leadership. But they're still playing in a very, very coordinated way. which just goes to show it's never one person, right? It's always this sort of core group that moves the train forward.
Yeah, it's never one person, but also the personality of the leader really does end up shining through in unexpected ways, I find. Like, the more I play this game, the more I think that kingdoms are truly a reflection of their king. And it's really weird, but, like, I think there's a leadership lesson there that it would be surprising to most people, that you would see it in such a meaningful way in a video game, quite frankly. But, like, I really think kingdoms end up a very close reflection of their king.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that, Chiz. You know, I'm just coming out of a war recently where we were on voice chat all day, and I do talk quite a bit on voice chat. I'm not the leader of the kingdom, but I'm, you know, pretty high up there and set the tone in war quite a bit. And the thing you realize is, like, if you're talking on voice all day, you're on voice all day with people. Some are talking, some are listening. And inevitably, when you're talking to people 16 hours a day, your personality comes out, and for better or worse, people have to deal with, you know, your awkwardness, the weird things that you're into. Like, you know, people learn about my neighbors and how, like, my neighbors wake me up at night and how I can hear my neighbors walking around and stuff like that. And it's like, they almost have no choice but to deal with that, because, you know, you got to talk about something when you're fighting all day long. And
Right.
It's just, you know, for better or worse, yeah, you are very affected by some of the movers and shakers in a kingdom.
Yep. I really feel like kingdoms become a shocking reflection of the king of that kingdom. And the more you get stressed in KVK, the more you see the character of those leaders emerge, which is really interesting to see. It's almost like, you know, there are elite military groups that do these, like, hell weeks, and it's designed to, like, bring out, like, your sort of true inner self and reveal it or whatever. And, like, you know, KVK is actually end up doing something very shockingly similar, I think. It is very revealing of the caliber of the leaders and the way they operate. When you haven't slept and you're pushed to the brink and you're decision fatigued, like, the way they then behave is like sort of I don't know. It's like the mark of, like, how are they really as a leader? Who are they really behind it all?
Yeah,
you can't
but
hide
it's everybody,
from it.
though. It's everybody. It's not just the leader, though, right? Because, like, the people, you know, some people might be making the decisions in war, but other people are keeping the vibes up or down as well, right?
They are.
And you know, like, when you get second guessed in war, right? When you're making decisions, tough decisions in war, and you get second guessed, like, in real time by people, it's rough, man. It really it's counterproductive, honestly, right? Whereas if people are supportive and, like, giving good information and, like, sharing their thoughts, that's super helpful, right? And that, you know, that I think plays as much of a role as, like, what the leader is or is not doing, because a leader gets affected by the people around them.
That's true, but the way the leader he sort of facilitates the group determines the impact of all that commentary and behavior, or even whether or not it happens at all. Right? Like, yes, it is natural for people to start to chime in when they feel there's not direction. Like, the second guessing is often a symptom of failed explanation rather than, I don't know, it could be a reflection of the players themselves being in the wrong role. But whatever. The match is almost over. A fun musing on kingdoms here as 93T for the last 30 minutes has kind of had this one already locked up. Wib won with 140 points? Did they really? 100 points? Is the game even over?
How can the game be over? Our game's not over.
Our game's not over. How's their game over?
Our game's not over.
Yeah, wait. Hold up.
But, you know, a solid win for 93T here. And, you know, at the beginning of the match, I talked about how we don't know too much about 1093. And we were talking about leaders and stuff like that. And the reason it kind of it hurts to not know that much about 1093 is I just think the people who have run this kingdom for many years have got to be some of the most interesting and impressive people in the game. So you wish you knew more about them. You wish you knew more how they did things, what things were like on their voice chat during war, because they've just done it so well that there's like a lot to learn there and just a lot to admire in what they've accomplished.
Perhaps that will always remain a mystery, however. 93T gets their win, and VL will see them against the main team from VL next week. GG, well played. In both cases, the main teams get their wins. Big shout out to all the players. Thanks everybody for joining in. You can check out our channels, by the way, linked in the description of this video. Be sure to subscribe for more Ark of Osiris League. We'll be back next week as the semifinals are on our doorstep. Wow. Kind of crazy.
Getting intense.
Getting intense. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom, and I'll see y'all real soon. Take care, everybody.